Good morning, everyone. My name is Eduardo, and Antonio and Valentina, we are international accounting and management students. And we are here with Mr. Zachariadis from Allianz Manchester Business School. Okay, first of all, I would like to thank you for the time and for the interview today's morning. And then I would like to ask you some question about your interview. Okay?
Sure.
So can we start with the first question? In 1990, Bill Gates said, the banking is necessary, banks are not. Okay? So in your opinion, this sentence, this idea of Bill Gates could be a prophecy, it's a good sentence, do you agree? We'd like to know your opinion about this phrase.
Yeah, no, thanks. So I think that's a very interesting question, and it's very alluring. I mean, this quote has been going around presentations. I use it as well in my presentations, as to how fintechs are entering the space and competing against banks, and how all these new solutions and the unbundling of the bank, as we call it, will replace essentially what was there before, which was fully integrated. Or vertically integrated business models within the banking sector, services provided by just a very small amount of banks. So as an idea, I think it's, Gates' quote is quite interesting, and but it also comes with a few question marks, because if you don't have banks, who's going to maintain the entire infrastructure of deposit taking, right? Who's going to be the regulation entity that holds has in place or the risk models and complies to all the regulation in terms of the cash assets and creating money in the economy, in the industry. So without banks, that kind of virtually it's kind of almost impossible. So you need to reimagine the entire sector from the beginning, and yet in the end, again, you will have to have some kind of institution, which like maybe you don't want to call bank, but it's still going to be the same thing. That will have to be an entity that holds deposits and complies with all the banking regulations, etc., etc. So I don't think that you can go away without banks, but I guess there is a future where banks are more open and data are more open, and I think that's exactly what PSD2 and open banking is trying to do.
Okay, thank you so much. So the second one is about Yolt. In your opinion, how will the use of these apps like Yolt transform banks and fintech companies?
Yeah, so I think companies or fintech startups like Yolt, not Yolt specifically, but like Yolt, which we call account aggregators, are a very interesting proposition. One of the first value-added propositions, I guess, in open banking, because the natural thing to do when you have openness of data in the sector is to pull data from different accounts that you may hold in banks and kind of put them all together in a nice app. And I think that's what account aggregation apps do. But that by itself may not be enough to satisfy customers, because not everybody's really keen to check their bank account and balance every now and then. I think you need to go further than that and create a business model where you can also kind of initiate payments, maybe have some choice of some kind of marketplace to consume other financial services. So in that sense, if you create an account aggregation hub that has other layers of value creation through offering kind of new services and products across the market, utilizing all this data that has been aggregated, I think that would be very compelling kind of product to have in the end. But to be honest, I mean, banks are trying to do the same thing now, and they're getting there quite fast. So in terms of competitive advantage, I think in the end you're left with what is the best customer experience. But even before that, which is the entity that you trust more to hold all these data aggregated in one place? Because then you'd have the risk of compromising your security. If somebody hacks into that account, you won't just have access to your one bank data, but pretty much to everything. So yeah.
Okay. Concluding with the third one, we would like to know, in your opinion, how long it will take in the open banking fields to reach a sufficient level of homogeneity among European Union member states and also globally.
Yeah. I mean, global is a long shot because we're talking about different jurisdictions, but even PSD2 in the fact that we are kind of like in a union of countries in Europe, that's even challenging in itself. There's huge variation across different countries in the EU as to how individual firms and banks treat the PSD2 regulation, or even before that, how countries have transposed PSD2 into national law. And there is no universalizing across the EU standard, right? The only country that has done serious work on creating standards for data access and data sharing is the United Kingdom. So in the UK, we have the implementation entity, which has come up with a full stack of API standards, API kind of being the technology that we use to share data. And actually what we see today, even talking to quite a few banks across Europe, a lot of people are trying to come up with their own standards because even the UK API standard is a standard for standards of some kind. It's a framework, it's not one particular version of an API. But then they also have the UK API standard on the side as a potential connectivity solution. So yeah, I'm not sure whether in the end there's going to be any consolidation of standardization or maybe one single standard. Or we're just going to see huge variation across Europe. I think that's still to be seen, and there's quite a few developments in this space as well now. So.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Oh, pleasure. Thanks.